All right, guys. Well, welcome everybody to Bible study again today. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for bringing us all together again today. And those who aren't here, we want to pray for them, their safety, and their safe return. Let your word not return unto thee void, but let it accomplish that which you please and prosper in the thing where you sent it. In your precious Son's name we pray. All right, guys. So this week we're going to be discussing a plethora of topics, but it ties all in to the same topic that we've been talking about for a while. But I'm also going to start off the study with showing you an mega occult ritual in Washington, D.C., where most men and women will never really see what's going on. But this is out of Nehemiah. We bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants. And this, of course, is Latin. Tribute in its origin is the patrimonial right of emperors and kings. And we're gonna end on this study, that thought process. But I want y'all to remember this. When you pay tribute, it is to the patrimonial right of emperors and kings. Remember in 1 Samuel, they have not rejected you, Samuel, they have rejected me. But first off, I want to talk about this, and I'm gonna tie this in at the end. This is humanist proselytizing. All right, this is Chester M. Pierce, Harvard psychiatrist, speaking as an expert in public education at the 1973 International Education Seminar, and this is what he had to say. Every child in America entering school at the age of 5 is mentally ill because he comes to school with certain allegiances to our founding fathers, toward elected officials, towards his parents, towards a belief in a supernatural being, and toward the sovereignty of this nation as a separate entity. You know, that's pretty deep, huh? It's up to you as teachers to make all these sick children well by creating the international child of the future. Have they done this?
No.
They've done it.
In a lot of cases.
It's complete. So let's do this, folks. Let's have this. Let's use logic and reasoning. All right. You have this social divide between every dividing line that you can: white, black, Mexican, immigrant, alien, left, right, whatever. You know, and they're all screaming. The right is screaming, we don't want socialism. We're not going to have it. We're not going to have it. We're not going to have it. What is socialism? We've discussed it. Well, right, but it's already in full effect here. It's already in full effect. You've got state-run education, state-run welfare, state-run Social Security. This is called socialism. The common good, the greater good, e pluribus unum. All right. We're going to stick on the parents a lot today, folks. There's a reason for this. A proselyte is a conversion. Matthew 23:15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you compass sea and land to make one proselyte. That's converting someone. So the sick child in their mind had to be converted from the parents. And who allows somebody else to do that? Why is the state allowed to do that? Because they're the parent. And I'm going to prove that today. And when he is made, you make it twofold, more the child of hell than yourselves. When you recognize this truth about how the nescience is passed down from generation to generation, enslaving the minds of men to a system which is not and cannot be beneficial to the well-being of the development of our children, then you can rectify this situation. But as long as you continue to give power to and hand over the minds of your children to this system, you will reap the consequences of your actions. And that's a cold hard truth, folks. Discussion. Before we take off into our topic of discussion today, I want to take the time to show another mega ritual done in front of the entire world. And there's a reason why I want to do this, because everybody is sitting and argue about this Republican, Demodont, and everything else, and then they go and show you the two wings of the same bird unified in the destruction of what it means to be a Christian or a follower of the way. And I'm going to prove that again today. They did a huge mega ritual the other day for the 50th year jubilee of the Apollo moon landing, okay? But anyway, here we go. And remember this, folks. This is out of the Kabbalistic Keys to the Creation of Man, page 126. According to the Isram, the secret doctrine of Israel taught the existence of 4 atoms. each dwelling in one of the four Kabbalistic worlds. The first, or heavenly Adam, dwelt alone in the Apotheois sphere, and within his nature existed all spiritual and material potentialities. The second Adam resided in the sphere of Bria. Like the first Adam, this being was androgynous, and the 10th division of its body, its heel, Malkuth. And that's what we're talking about, is that tree of life and the tree of death, folks. All right? Correspond to the church of Israel that shall bruise the serpent's head. The third Adam, likewise androgynous, was clothed in a body of light and abode in the sphere of Yetzirah. Philosophically, Adam may be regarded as representative of the full spiritual nature of man, androgynous and not subject to decay. So this is the part that most men and women have the struggle with dealing with. They cannot fathom how evil really is and how perverted the religion of the rulers are. One thing that is for sure, they are well funded and they are focused to have their goals met. Now, how many of the Christian faith are focused to have their goals met? Not many at all. They're going to go stick their heads in the sand out there and scream, Maranatha, here comes Jesus coming. And, it's just crazy at how passive most men and women are. The acquiescence to evil is what? The inaction when evil is around you is what? It allows it to be happening. It's evil itself. When you sit idly by, you're allowing it to happen. Now here's a video. This is the next stage of NASA, right? It's called Artemis, right? Well, who's Artemis? Anybody? Y'all know who Artemis is? All right. Well, if y'all don't know, this is the Washington Monument. Okay, they did a 3D hologram technology on the Washington Monument. Let's watch this together.
Houston, you're looking at our Delta 8. Alarm looks good. Looking good. Over. Everything is good. 1202. 1202. Let's go. Throttle down. 6 plus 2. The reading on the 1202 program alarm. We have another 1202 alarm. 1202. What's that? It's executive overflow. If there's not occurred yet, we're fine. We're going that flight. We're going that alarm. That time we're going flight. Okay, we're going. We're going. Bring time. We're going. Never alarm. Tell them to leave it alone and we'll monitor it, okay?
Now understand, this is just a holographic technology on the Washington Monument, which is an obelisk. We know what the obelisk stands for. Alright, here we go. 44. We're going to touch down here. The Eagle has landed, folks. So now we have the moon being pictured on the Washington Monument. Now let me pause that for a second.
Keep the chatter down in this.
I watched that when it happened.
Yeah, it's amazing what they can pass off as real. What's really being shown here? What's really being shown, folks?
It's like a movie.
What does the Washington Monument represent? Come on. It's an obelisk. It's a phallus. All right, that's what it is.
What do you mean by that?
A phallus is an erect penis.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it. I didn't see that one coming.
We have one in Denver.
Yeah.
On Veterans Day.
And you know why? Because Nimrod is the first master mason. That's right. An obelisk represents, well, y'all laughing. Y'all are laughing, but this is why it is important to actually know what you're looking at.
Oh, I've seen the same thing on the Disney show. Yeah.
We have one Veterans Boulevard in Denham Springs.
Yep.
At both ends.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Phallic architecture. What's a phallus?
What you just said.
There it is. Hey, look, folks. We laugh and joke about it, But what you have is a sex cult and a religion right smack dab in the middle of your face. And most men and women do not understand what is going on. That is called a phallus. It comes from Egypt, Babylon, and everything else. Every place in between. It represents the erect phallus. All right, so let's get back. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. I got something else I want to show you. All right, we're going to stop right there. Who's Apollo?
Sun god.
All right. Who's Artemis?
Not sure.
The moon god. So what did you just watch?
Landing on the moon.
You watched the sun god Apollo and the merger of the moon god Artemis. The sun god, the moon god. Well, this would be the sun. The phallus is up. You see, the triangle up, the triangle down. You have the abrahadabra key, the 7613. This is the abrahadabra, the magic before your eyes, the merger of the male with the female. And of course, you see it right here. All right. What's the purpose of this? You just watched a mega occult ritual featuring the names of other deities that you are not supposed to call upon. Right there in Washington, D.C., and most men and women will never see what it was. Never understand what happened. That the merger of the male and the female. Do you think it's by accident that your whole society is going androgynous? Why are they teaching it in the schools? Let's go back 6 years in just our little small community right here. Let's go back 10 years in our little small community. Could you go to the library and see a transgender? No. What has happened?
It's become acceptable.
It's been normalized. How did it get normalized?
Very slowly.
It's sped up now.
Through television, Hollywood.
It's called the revelation of the method. Okay? They plant the ideas through social media, TV, children's programs, and then they even were so far into this revelation of the method. Let's go back. They even show you right here on a piece of stone that represents a penis. They show you what the game is about. All this other junk going on over here, this is theater. This is the real game. This is why it's the centerpiece. The whole world's a stage, and you're not paying attention to what's going on. Well, let's do a little word play, okay? Everybody keeps talking about disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. Remember, I keep telling you, you better pay attention to the words that you speak. What's disclosure mean to you?
Showing.
Revealing, right? That's what we say. That they're going to disclose to us the aliens. What do you think well, let's discuss what it really means. Dis, a word forming element of Latin origin meaning lack of or not. Opposite of. The opposite of, as in disallow, disregard. And you can go on and on. Y'all can go do this on your own time. But let's do this. Dishonest. It means not to be honest. Disrespect means you've been disrespected. The opposite of respect. Disclosure means it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. It's a lie. Right there in your language. You have to come to terms with this stuff, folks. They have never lied to you one time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to prove it again today in black and white how many times they've told you what their goal really is for. We're going to see it in the next couple slides as we break down the Apotheosis that's sitting there in the Capitol Rotunda. It is high time people really understand what's going on. The only space they are really after is the space between your ears. The temples. He who sits in the holy place proclaiming he is God. The abomination which causes desolation. The kingdom of heaven is within you, folks. All right, the why. Artemis is the Olympian goddess of the hunt, the moon, and chastity. In time, she also became associated with childbirth and nature. No more than a few days old, she helped her mother, Leto, give birth to her twin brother, Apollo. That's that duality. That's that 11. The male and the female. Well, you would think since we're a Christian nation, we wouldn't be going around calling stuff Apollo and Artemis or building phallic structure in our capital, huh? I highly doubt most society will ever be able to see the truth, as most would rather believe a comfortable lie and never challenge anything they have been told instead of facing an uncomfortable truth. A change in the laws of a country is actually a change in the religion of a country. So when they usurped the freedom that we once had in this country and took it over and made it a corporation, the change in religion was what? Well, they just showed you. This is Kabbalism. I just read you from the Kabbalistic text. And we've gone over it ad nauseum. E pluribus unum is a communistic, socialistic concept. The common good and the greater good disregards the individual. What we are witnessing is the revelation of the method. I could focus on, and this is aimed at somebody who keeps messaging me in the YouTube videos and everything else. And what I want to say to anybody and everybody out there that wants to contact me over making a bunch of money, I'm going to reject you every time. I don't do this for money. Don't want it. This isn't for sale. I have freely received, and I will freely give. I don't want anybody recognition of man. I don't want people patting me on my butt all the time. I do this because I am led to do it. I could focus on decoding the occult all day, every day. Why? Because people love that. They buy it up. You go look at my best videos and what the most viewed and the most shared. Which videos were those? They were the ones on the occult. I can decode them all day long. But what's the truth, folks? Is any of that knowledge really going to bring you back to where you're supposed to be? No. I could learn some video editing skills and profit largely by using that knowledge to my advantage. Instead, I choose to keep it simple. I don't want a dime from anyone, and I try to show the important truths about our Redeemer, the real law, and the way set forth by Yahushua through the Father. And that's what we're going to focus on now as we move forward. It should really come as no surprise to you folks, as we continue to move forward, the real push for androgyny is a push for the most evil, diabolical system you have ever seen, witnessed, and be a witness to. The fact that we are willing to chop off little boys' penises at 6 years old and make them a woman lets you know that that religion is in control. All right, Revelation 17:3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy. Artemis, all these names. Apollo, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Well, folks, we're going to find out today that heads are called capita. That's why you can be decapitated. The capita means what? The head. A capital is what? The head of the state. The Capitol Rotunda is the head. The head, 7 beasts sitting in the throne of Yahuwah and controlling industry, food, air, land, water, and knowledge. Okay, let's do this. We have done this once or twice before where I've showed you the Capitol Rotunda, George Washington sitting on the throne of Yahuwah as God. But I've never gone around and showed you all the other deals. Well, there's George Washington sitting on his side as Liberty with the fasciae and the Phrygian cap. But let's go directly below. He sits upon the rainbow, right? Who's supposed to really sit upon the rainbow? That was a sign of a covenant, wasn't it? Who's sitting on the sign of the covenant now? Think about it. All right, just remember that. sitting in the place of God, proclaiming themselves to be God. All right, here we go. Here's District of Columbia. How is the control done? By war. She's waging war. There's an eagle. All right, that's a phoenix. Let's go to the next slide, right? Here we have Ceres. Ceres, where you get the name ceremonial. Okay? She's the goddess of agriculture. Harvest. All right? Here we have Vulcan, where you get your root word volcano. God of industry, fire, metalworking. Think Tubal Cain. All right? Then we come here. We've seen this guy a lot. He's got the caduceus staff in his hand. He's got 3 of the original signers right here. And we know this guy as who? Mercury, the god of commerce, of boundaries. All right? That's why it has all the goods down here. All right, so we go to the next one. This is Neptune with Venus behind him. And this is the transatlantic cable that was built in that time. Because remember, this painting was done in 1865. And let's do some gematria for those who don't know. 1865 breaks down to what? 9/11. 8 plus 1 is 9. 6 plus 5 is 11. All right. So now we've got war, land, industry, commerce, water, and then we have the last one, Minerva. Now, do y'all know who Minerva is the god of? Knowledge. That's why you have the children back here. See the children behind her in school?
That was my grandmother's name.
This is the god Minerva. That's Benjamin Franklin and the other scientists and everything else. So we have man sitting in the place of controlling industry, food, air, land, water, and knowledge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm just saying, folks, they've shown you the whole time what they plan to do. This is a picture of world domination. Right there under the Capitol Rotunda, and every time somebody who gets exonerated for being part of the great work, they go stuff them in there in a coffin underneath the Apotheosis like they've been made gods. It is a mega ritual every time. All right. And I'm just saying, this is something to think about when I start putting this stuff together. I'm not saying I got it 100% right, but hey, I didn't make this drawing neither. And there's the banner, E pluribus unum, out of many one. So it didn't just start yesterday. All right, let's get back to the law. And there's a reason why we're going here. And I put this here because I wanted to show you the root word for capita is what? By the head. Black's Law Dictionary. Capitation tax, a poll tax. Latin, the language of ancient Romans. There are 3 sorts of law Latin. Good Latin, allowed by the grammarians and lawyers. False or incongruous Latin, which in times past would abate original writs, though it would not make void any judicial writ, declaration, or plea. And number 3, words of art, sign language, known only to the sages of the law and not to grammarians, called lawyer's Latin. Then we go directly to the definition of law Latin, the corrupt form of the Latin language employed in the Old English law books and legal proceedings. Then we go, let's go make sure we get this. Dog Latin. It's the Latin of illiterate persons. Latin words put together on an English grammatical scale. So your whole law system is built on this right here. Do you think they wanted to tell you the truth? No. Civil law, Roman law, and Roman civil law are convertible phrases meaning the same system of jurisprudence. That rule of action which every particular nation, commonwealth, or city has established peculiarly for itself, more properly called municipal law, to distinguish it from the law of nature. and from international law. It's a distinguishing factor. Separates. They can't create artificial men. Do you understand what I'm saying? Only the Most High creates men. This system has to create fictions. This capitis dimentio is in Roman law a diminishing or abridgment of personality. This was a loss or curtailment of a man's status. Remember, everything revolves around status and titles. That's what gives you all your leeway in this system, is status and titles. Capitis dimentio maxima, that's the highest loss of status. That's where we are. It's where a bondman, this occurred when a man's condition was changed from one of freedom to one of bondage, when he became a slave. Okay, that's capitis dimentio maxima. Where we want to go, I'm gonna skip this one. This is where we want to go. That's where we're gonna go. That's where this study's gonna go, and that's where I will get to, Yahuwah willing. Capitis dimentio minima, the lowest or least comprehensive degree of loss of status. This occurred where a man's family relations alone were changed. It happened upon the arrogation of a person who had been his own master. And of course, I don't even like that deceptive wording, because if I'm sui juris, my master is who? The Most High. And that's whose laws I'm going to live by. But this is the point. Or upon the emancipation of one who has been under the patria potestas. We're going to learn today that the patria potestas and the pater patria is a form of law Latin, letting you know right off the rip that you have signed your children away, and you have also signed your children away. The new father is the state. And we're actually going to go look at the code ourselves and prove it. Because the only way anybody will ever change their thinking is maybe if I start showing it in black and white. And I hope one day people start going to pull up the links and everything else down here. That's why I put the memes together. Why do I put them in memes? Because mimetic warfare works when you see the picture. You can translate the mind to the thought a little bit better. That's why I use these photos and I take the time. It takes 30, 40 minutes to put one of these together. And you figure I got 20 of these in here a week on average. Sometimes I don't put them all into the study, but most of the time I spend 8-9 hours a week to put this little 1 hour study together. And I hope it's starting to get to everybody's mind that it is important. Let's go to our Bible, because I always get relief there. All the other stuff just really ticks me off, because you know what I'm starting to uncover, and I have for a long time, is I'm mad at myself because I should have figured this out earlier, because I have ignorantly and unashamedly signed my children over to this beast system. And it makes me angry. It makes me very angry. All for a little benefits. Nehemiah stops the oppression of the poor. Nehemiah 5:3. Some also there with that said. It's funny. Did you know they had mortgage in the Bible? How many of you know this? We have mortgaged our lands, vineyards, and houses that we might buy corn because of the famine. That's what the word dearth means, famine. There were also that said we have borrowed money for the king's tribute, and that upon our lands and our vineyards. Yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children as their children, and lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants. And some of our daughters are brought into bondage already. Neither is it in our power to redeem them, for other men have our lands and our vineyards. And Nehemiah was very angry. He said, I was very angry when I heard their cry and these words. Then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles, the princes, the kings, the governments, and said unto them, you exact usury, every one of his brother. And I sat a great assembly against them. What's usury, folks? Well, are we going to use the modern term or the term that was meant in the book? The modern term says exorbitant interest. What did the book mean? Absolutely no interest. Why? Because money can't make money. It's magic. You're making something out of nothing. Do you understand that? Money, when they say, let your money go to work for you and all that stuff, where's the money being created? It's not. It's magic. Money can't make money. It has no, gold can't go mate with itself and make more gold. Dollars can't mate with itself and make more dollars. It's valueless. And of course, you got to understand that concept. Define terms: tribute and usury. A tribute is an excise, and its origin is the patrimonial right of emperors and kings. We went through that already. A sum of money paid by an inferior sovereign or state to a superior potentate to secure the friendship or protection of the latter. This is why they come offering what? See if anybody got it? Peace and security. You trade your liberty for what? Your freedoms for what? Peace and security.
Don't they have a clothesline called Aristotle?
Yeah. Well, no, that's
Aeropostale.
Aripostale. The rights of the father, patrimonial rights, the rights of the father and not the father. At some point in time, usury changed its definition also to excessive interest from no interest at all. And what I put Aristotle in here for is to show you how long this has been going on. When was Aristotle alive? Anybody?
Oh, hundreds of years.
Let's go thousands of years. The most hated sort, moneymaker, and with the greatest reason is usury, which makes a gain out of money itself and not from the natural object of it. For money was intended to be used in exchange, but not to increase its interest. And this term interest, which means the birth of money from money, is applied to the breeding of money because the offspring resembles the parent. Wherefore, of the modes of getting wealth, this is the most unnatural because it cannot create. You see how simple the concept is once you bring it to reality? So the only people for interest are what? People for slavery. Tax, to impose a tax, to enact or declare. That a pecuniary, we've gone through that before. What's a pecuniary? Chattel, cattle. Contribution shall be made by the persons liable. Always pay attention to the wording. Who's liable? Did it say man? No. For the support of government, spoken of an individual to be taxed is to be included in an assessment made for purposes of taxation. Alex de Tocqueville made this quote: the American public will endure until the days Congress discovers that it can bribe the public with the public's money. And that quote was made in the early 1800s. The essence of all slavery consists in taking the product of another laborers by force. When did Israel break free from Egypt? What were they forced to do? They were slaves as labor. When Israel first broke out, it was the first republic ever. And what do I mean? What's a real republic? There was no kings. They had one law. What was that law? The Pentateuch, what was written down by Moses, the Ten Commandments. It wasn't until they begged for a king did they lose everything. A true republic. It is immaterial whether this force be founded upon ownership of the slave or ownership of the money that he must get to live. Still a slave. And I ask everybody, here, matter of fact, I'll just go pull it up. This is the U.S. Title Code, Title 15, Commerce and Trade, S15C, Actions by State Attorney General. And you see this word right here, Parens Patria? Let's blow that up. The Parens Patria. What do y'all think that means? They're still using Latin. Why are they still using Latin in our codes? Well, we talked about it last week because the Latin definition doesn't what? It doesn't change. Parent. That's what a parens is. It's a parent. Pater. P-A-T-R. We've discussed this before. What does that mean? The father. The state's the father. All right? And of course, you can go through here and read all this. I'll put it in the show notes, folks. The Parens Patria, meaning that the state is father to all persons. So why did I pull that up before I put these memes together and I put this together? Why did I pull up the code and read it first?
To better understand it.
To better understand it and make sure what? I wasn't feeding y'all a lie. Meaning that the state is father to all persons. Remember that key word, person. I keep telling you, Yahushua said it well. By your word you shall be justified, and by your word you shall be condemned. The importance of understanding and recognizing the words that come out of your mouth is pivotal. Pivotal. And has the responsibility to provide for the commonwealth and the individual's welfare. Remember that word, common. Child must be in school somewhere. Two important doctrines permit state invention, and that is Parens Patria. The government protects those who cannot protect themselves. And what else did this fall back into? We've talked about it. Non compos mentis, right? Of unsound mind. Wards of the state. Because you are not sui juris, you cannot take care of yourself. You have to have a what? A mommy and a daddy. What does the father say? Honor thy mother and thy father, biological. What does the state come in and say? I'm your mother and father. Bypass and supplant and usurp. The root word pater or pater, meaning father. Example, paternal, patriarch, patriot. So all these fools running around here, I'm a patriot and all this stuff, they have no earthly idea what they are saying. They have no clue. The definition of a pagan is from the late Latin paganus, a country dweller. It's one who puts country above anything else. Matthew 23:9. And this is how the devil works. This is how he works. He slips in. He makes you worship him and you don't even know it. Remember this, folks. When Yahushua was tempted, what did Satan tempt him with? With Scripture. Come on, folks. Do you not know your enemy yet? And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Malachi 2:1, and now, O you priests, this commandment is for you. Now, this is another one that I've been really, and I'm going to tell you something. This has been on my heart all week since I read it. And you know, one of the things that it's like what I said earlier about how I could take this position and the fact that I got 4,000 or 5,000 people watching me, and I could take this study group a different way and make money or anything of that nature. But this is what I believe in. And I don't care about that other stuff. I don't want anything from this system. I don't want their money. I don't want anything from it. I just want to be free to worship Yahuwah and Yahushua without anybody coming after me and my children. And now, O you priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to the heart, to give glory unto my name, saith Yahuwah, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. Remember what that fear is? Rebuking all evil. Rebuke it. The law of truth was in his mouth. And inequity. Was it inequity? Anybody? Lawlessness was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from inequity. So he's talking about the priest. The priest, when he was doing right, he was in the law of truth. He didn't practice lawlessness, and he walked with Yahuwah in peace and equity, and he did turn many away from lawlessness. All right? For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yahuwah. But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith Yahuwah of hosts. And these kind of things, like when the watchman on the wall, if you do not warn your brother, his blood will I take at your hand. we are responsible to continue, whether some people like it or not, to uncover the truth in this study. And I cannot help that every time I open my book, I see these things. Every time I read it now, I see the truth in plain sight, right there written down in the book. And how many people study, it just blows my mind. Malachi 2:9, therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as you have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. Have we not all one Father? Hath not one Yahuwah created us? Why do we deal treacherously, every man against his brother, by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah, and let's do this again. Have we not all one lowercase father, right? What does that mean? One actual biological father. Hath not one Yahuwah created us? Why do we deal treacherously, usury, governments, slavery, systems of men against his brother by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of Yahuwah, which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange god. Oh, wow. Could that be Artemis? Because you know who Artemis and Apollo are, right? They're the daughters of Zeus, daughter and son of Zeus. And remember, folks, I've told you this time and time again. You take the Persian pantheon, you take the Hindu pantheon, you take the Roman pantheon, you take the Greek pantheon, and they're all just different names, but it's the same gods. Yahuwah will cut off the man that doeth this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth an offering unto the Yahuwah. Nothing but the potter's clay. Isaiah 64:4. For since the beginning of the world men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither hath the eye seen, Yahuwah, beside thee, what he hath prepared for him that waiteth for him. Thou meetest him that rejoiceth and worketh righteousness, those that remember thee in thy ways. Behold, thou art wroth, for we have sinned, and those is continuance, and we shall be saved. But we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags, and we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, have taken us away. You know, one of the things, if you go read Jeremiah, you read the book of Jeremiah, you cannot help but come away with seeing how the book of Jeremiah fits perfectly to another situation transpiring with us today in this country. And there's none that calleth upon thy name, that stirreth up himself to take hold of thee. For thou hast hid thy face from us, and hast consumed us, because of our iniquities. But now, O Yahuwah, thou art our Father. We are the clay, and thou art potter, and we are all the work of thy hand. Be not wroth very sore, Yahuwah, neither remember iniquity forever. Behold, see, we beseech thee, we are all thy people. Now, why did I put those two verses in there? The last two verses are about people who's constantly trying to divide on social issues, the house of Yahuwah. And either you're in or out. There's no walking the line. You're either in the law, which means what? Lawful. And as lawful, you accept what? Grace. They are not totally separate. They are actually together. Or you're lawless. And that's the two separating points. All right, so here we go. This is from Sir Josiah Stamp, director and president of the Bank of England during the 1920s. I'm just going to read a piece of this. The modern banking system manufactures money out of nothing. The process is perhaps the most astounding piece of sleight of hand that was ever invented. Banking was conceived in inequity and born in sin. That's simple. That's what it is. Let's do this together. And I'm going to do this real slow because I know the men and women in this study group and out there don't really get what I'm about to say again. This word person, and this is out of the American Law and Procedure, Volume 13, pages 137, I missed a 162, 1910 edition. All right, this is the definition. This word person in its scope and bearing in the law, involving as it does legal fictions and also apparently natural beings, it is difficult to understand. And so we have to sympathize, because it took me a while to grasp this concept too. But it is absolutely necessary to grasp at whatever cost a true and proper understanding of the word and all the phases of its proper use. Well, first off, we should not have a society where any word can mean whatever you want it to construe to mean. That's a system of deception in the first place. All right? So let's get that right out the rip. If we were going to do that, everybody should be trained in this knowledge at their schools. But of course, that's not what we want. That would set everybody on solid ground and give you a fighting chance. The words persona and personae did not have the meaning in the Roman which attaches to homo. Homo means man in the English, the individual, or a man in the English. It had peculiar references to artificial beings and the condition or status of individuals. We're going to keep talking about this because you have to understand your benefits and everything like that's off your status and your condition. A person is here not a physical or individual person, but the status or condition of which he is invested. Not an individual or physical person, but the status, condition, or character borne by physical persons. Remember that you keep talking about these acts, characters, these thespians, these hypocrites. A moment's reflection enables one to see that man and person cannot be synonymous. What's synonymous mean? That means this means the same thing. A man and a person doesn't mean the same thing. They're two different definitions. Thus, the conclusion is easily reached that the law itself often creates an entity or a being which is called a person. The law cannot create an artificial man, but it can and frequently does invest with him artificial attributes. This is his personality. That is to say, the man-person and abstract persons which are fiction and which have no existence except in law. That is to say, those which are purely legal conceptions or creations. There's a reason why I'm going to keep going through this, folks. The living man and woman is subject to who? Their creator. Same thing, the state created the persona. So who is it subject to? The state. All right, we're getting there, folks. I can see it. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the incorruptible Yahuwah for an image in the form of Mount Rushmore, men, birds, there's your eagle, and four-footed animals. There's your elephant, there's your donkey, and crawling creatures. Don't tread on me. Stay away from idols, children. Stay away. Now, how come I can make sense out of all this and nobody else seems to get it? Because there's corruptible man. We'll go back to the beginning of George Washington sitting on the throne of the Most High. If that's not blasphemy, I don't know what blasphemy is. Wicked balances equal banking equals born in sin. Micah 6:8, he hath showed me, O man, what is good. And oh man, I forgot to change that. And what doth Yahuwah require of thee but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy Yahuwah? Yahuwah's voice crieth unto the city, and the man of wisdom shall see thy name. Hear you the rod, and who hath appointed it? Are there yet the treasures of wickedness in the house of the wicked, and the scant measure that is abominable? What's the scant measure, folks? It's what they do. When you pay for a pound, you get 0.78 pounds. When you go buy a box, you see it now happening with your goods. You used to go buy a pack of Ritz crackers. Let's say they had 100 crackers in a pack. Now it's down to 60. It's scant measures. They're fooling you that you're getting the same amount when you're not. You used to go get a candy bar. The candy bar was this big, right? Now you go get one, it's that big. It's scant measures, folks. It's giving you the illusion that everything costs the same, when in reality, the value of the dollar is plummeting, and inflation and taxation is enslaving you even further. Shall I count them pure with the wicked balances and with the bag of deceitful weights? For the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. Therefore also will I make thee sick in smiting thee, and making thee desolate because of thy sins. So this is the part where I tell you that what most men and women cannot grasp in their mind is how connected every piece of this system really is. We all think it's just random parts happening here and here and here, and that's random. No, that's not the case. Because once you start peeling back the layers of the onion and getting down to the root of the problem, you understand what it really is. It all emanates from one place. It all emanates from one place. So, I person etymology, right? This is the Etruscan, actually root word for demon. Greek, it's the prospion. We've talked about that. It's the mask, the making of the mask. The Latin, the persona, the bearer of the role. They're actors, they're hypocrites. That's why in Matthew 23, he calls them that. Hypocrites, hypocrites, hypocrites. In the Greek, the word is what? Actors. Yahuwah has given you one face and you make for yourself another. This is the straw man, the straw manius homo. But I found this too, this maxim of the law inside Black's Law Dictionary, and this just popped out at me big time. It's called homo vocabulum est nature, persona juris civilis. And I'm getting close. I know homo's man, vocabulum's term, juris is law, civilis is civil. Man, homo, is a term of nature. Person, persona, of the civil law. All right? Do you understand that? What I'm trying to show you, folks, is that if you continue to stay and worship this system, you cannot have two masters. This system is not going to get better. It is going to continue to decay to the point now that we even have live shows on national TV about occult, dark, ritual, sex magic, and the people don't even know what's going on. That's Kabbalistic sex magic they just did. We're talking about Thelema, Aleister Crowley. That's what the abrahadabra is. Right in front of your faces. And did it for the whole world to see. It is of extreme importance to understand this stuff. Let us review the concepts. The real Father has been usurped, the whole point of the study today. And the honor that is commanded for us to give to our biological parents, our mother and father, has been stolen through the process of Parens Patria, which is the Regus. Regus means king. Let's do this. All right, so let's do this together. The Regus, the Latin Regus, genitive case of Rex, king. That's why you go and what do you do to your property? You register it. To who? Your king. The state. That's your God. Perhaps an occupational name for someone employed in the royal household, or what is this root word right here? Patronymic, from a nickname, P-A-T-R, so we know right there. What's that mean? It's got father in it. This is the purpose of doing the word studies that we continue to do in this study group, so you start seeing it. One of the worst things that has ever happened is we don't even recognize the words that we speak and the meanings that they have. And of course, our conventional wisdom and conventional education says it doesn't matter. when that's completely contrary to what the Bible says. It's completely contrary. The state owns the Regis King registering of our biological property, children, to the state, in effect awarding the state as father. And that's what we've done, albeit in ignorance and nescience. Listen, folks, when they come in and offered this great offer to people, and I've got a slide where I'm going to show you where they compelled everyone to join the Social Security deal. When they did this for everybody, they come what? Oh, this is going to be the greatest thing through sliced bread. When you retire, you're going to have a bunch of money. Well, how many people didn't want that? That sounds great, doesn't it? He comes offering the benefit. And we're going to see this in Proverbs 12:24. Matter of fact, I'm just going to hold on to that thought until I read the Proverbs to you, because it's going to set it better than I can. Matthew 7:7. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth. And to him that knocketh it shall be opened. And I'm going to continue to say this at all times, that there's absolutely no way I could have found all this information out, one, without people assisting me all over the place, but also without asking first, what's wrong with this society? Why is it like this? Why do I pay taxes? Why am I feel like I'm a slave? You just got to start asking. The state owns the fiction of the law, the personas, and we have no one to blame but ourselves, as all we had to ever do was ask, knock, and seek. How much of this stuff can I show you, black and white, in their laws, written in their laws, before you understand it's the truth? Man makes religion, Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. All right, we just saw Aristotle talking about usury back in the old Roman Republic. Why will it be again? Why do we live inside the Ouroboros? And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there's no new thing under the sun. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. And what's vanity and vexation of spirit? It's all about me. What feels good is what I want to do, not the hard thing. No, let's not do that. Let's do the easy thing. James 1:26. If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. And who are we deceiving? We talked about this last week. The only person in the world that you are really deceiving is who? Yourself. Pure religion and undefiled before Yahuwah the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. What does unspotted mean? Unspotted, physically and morally, set apart, holy as your Father is holy. Come out from her, my peoples, so you receive not of her plagues. You know, we keep wanting to... And I'm no different. I'm not the perfect or anywhere close. But all we want to do, we want to go run back in, get a little taste of it, and come back out. Hey man, one time you're going to go in there, and you're not going to be able to come back out. And that's what I worry about. Discussion. I put a lot of information in this study. But I hope what I can do is continue to show you, and each and every man, woman, and child out there, that the system does not have your best interest at heart. And with that, if you turn back to the scriptures, you will find the truth when you start reading those pages. And we should be opening up a whole new realm for everybody. Look, I went to 12 books of the Bible today. If you don't realize this is what all the bondage talk is about, what the Pharisees and Sadducees, why the Roman government crucified Yahushua, with the religious leaders, the Pharisees and the Sadducees begging for it. The kingdoms of this world set counsel against Yahuwah. Psalm 2, folks. I have put a lot more information in this study again, and I hope that instead of just listening to the study and taking my word for anything, you instead test the information. Because when you do, you will see that the reality that has been presented to you is not for your benefit and is nothing more than the beast system which we have been warned about over and over. The beauty of the scriptures are evident when one learns how to read them. Every single warning was written down. History repeats itself. And it continues repeating itself. And what was that? Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, or whatever was the quote. What's that quote?
That's about it.
That's about it, right? Listen, folks. The same people, the same system that has enslaved you, educates you. Do you think can you logically say that would be like a crooked banker walking in here and handing me his books? It's not going to happen, is it? It's like the dope dealer down the street. Is he going to come over here and hand me his dope contacts? No. Let's do this again. They do it right now. They're doing it right now with these so-called investigations. Mueller gets up there and talks for all day long, doesn't discover one doggone thing. Can the government actually investigate the government? No! Can a police force, when they say we're going to do internal investigations, can they really investigate themselves? No! It's conflict of interest. It's impossible. It's just a dog and pony show, folks. Compel to force injustice, force socialism. This is from the original newspaper ad beginning January 1st, 1937. Your employer will be compelled by law to deduct a certain amount from your wages every day. This is in compliance with the terms of the Social Security Act, sponsored and signed by President Roosevelt, August 14th, 1935. The deduction begins 1% and increases until it reaches 3%. There is no guarantee that the fund thus collected will ever be returned to you. Well, let's state a fact, an unequivocal fact right there. The less you pay in, the more you will receive from Social Security. That's right. That's a fact, Jack. The less you pay in, the less you've worked, and this is true with all welfare cases. The less you pay in, the more you get. Yeah.
I always thought the more you pay.
No. I can't go.
People cut down to where they don't have no vendors or nothing, so they can get more.
Section 8 housing. They don't work. They get apartments for what? 1/15 or 1/20 of the rent. You go up there. They've never worked in their life. They get food stamps. The Social Security works. I've already paid in my max amount of my Social Security. By the time I'm 30, I won't ever get the max amount out. It's the people that barely pay in. They'll get the max amount out. They'll retire early, and they'll get the max out.
And the people that pay in and don't receive it.
Well, they told you from the get-go. Listen, there is no guarantee that the fund thus collected will ever be returned to you. So what is it?
I've paid in for years, but you have to have so many quarters. So when I worked for the state, everything I paid in, Social Security is gone.
Yeah.
Everything that Lawrence paid in, I can't receive because I have a state retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So they get you one way or the other.
Yeah.
Proverbs 12:24. This is why I held that thought back a while ago. The hand of the diligent. What's diligent mean?
Faithful. Hard.
Yeah. On guard. Steadily working at. Never letting your guard down. Shall bear rule. But the slothful shall be under, what's that word there? Tribute. So let's word that correctly. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, and the slothful shall be a slave. Because tribute is an excise tax to your regis, your king. Nehemiah 3:5. There were also some who said, we have mortgaged our lands and vineyards and houses. What's a mortgage? Death pledge. Pay 30 years on a piece of property. They don't own that property. Whose property is this? And again, you first have to get these preconceived concepts out of your head where they force you to choose, and it's the false dichotomy. They say, well, I don't want communism, so I gotta love capitalism. Well, it's two wings of the same bird. Who gave these corporations access to buy the world? Who did it? Well, I'll tell you who did it. It was the hand of the slothful, ignorant of the devices of their enemy. And now our flesh is as the flesh of our brothers. Our children are as their children. What are they saying? Let's read that again. Our flesh is as the flesh of our brothers. Our children are as their children. Our children is the potter's Patria of the king. Yet we are forcing our sons and daughters to be slaves, and some of our daughters have already been enslaved, but it is not in our power to help it for other men of our fields and our vineyards. I'd advise people to go finish Nehemiah 5. It's pretty good. Blessings to all, diligent, constant, and earnest effort to accomplish what is undertaken. That's what diligent means. Never giving up, vigilant, watchful, circumspect, attentive to discover and avoid danger, or to provide for safety. You know, one of these things that most men and women will do to intellectually cut themselves off from debate and conversation is spout the key phrase, what? Anybody? You're a conspiracy theorist. Or anything of that. You're a conspiracy theorist. And it's a government talking point which was instituted by the CIA in the first place. But has anything that I've shown here today been conspiracy?
No.
Why is it not conspiracy? Because black and white doesn't lie. And this was why it's the fundamental. Now see, I just saw a breakthrough in here with that. This is why we continue to have these hard studies. If I was to quit and start making these studies to where it tickled your ears and it was easy for you to follow along, I would be the priest and I would fall short of my job and my duty. Be sober. Be vigilant. Watchful, circumspect, attentive to discover and avoid danger, or to provide for safety, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Who's he going to devour? The slothful. The easy prey. All predators go for what? The easy prey. Look, I can't even get into arguments on Twitter anymore with anybody. I used to be able to get in arguments all the time. Can't do it. They don't even want to have anything to do with me. They just go on down they just go on down the road. They don't even argue anymore. You know? 1 Peter 5:9. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, folks. You can resist this guy when you're vigilant, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the what? World. Revelation 3:21. Let's do it. To him that overcometh, will I grant to sit with me in my throne. Did he say to him that sits still? Will I grant to sit with me in my throne? No. Even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. No, he didn't tell you just sit down. He said what you got to do. You got to overcome the world. You don't just get to sit idly by. May this study edify each and every man, woman who watches it. Yep. And folks, this is just, it's this. The truth is simple, and it's broken down for them. And I hope this study edifies everybody. Let's bow our heads. Thank you for anointing me with this message, Father. May the seed fall on good ground and bring forth great fruit. Let your word not return unto thee void, but let it accomplish that which you please and prosper in the thing where you sent it. All right. In your precious Son's name, by the way. All right, let's do